So it's April, that's an odd thing. We're already at the 1/3 mark of the year, if you do the quick maths of dividing 12 by 3. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised at how fast this year is going so far. When I started this year, I'd been doing my job for 2 months, 2 and a bit months. And at that point they were like, yeah, you got a 6-month probationary period before, if anything goes absolutely wrong or terribly wrong, we can say goodbye to you, basically. That's what probationary periods are. And if anything comes under my ideology what? I don't know how I'm saying. I started this podcast with absolutely no concept of what I was going to talk about, and I thought I'll just ad-lib and see where things go. So I'm just going to jump into it. Hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host Matt, as always, and yeah, the weather has been absolutely wild currently. I bring up the fact that it's April because, April in the UK is known as the rainy month. It's typically very rainy. It's kind of cold, like mid-teens or like just around 10 degrees Celsius. So it's kind of cold. It's raining constantly. Not very fun. This year, it hasn't been raining. It's been snowing and hailing. What? It's absolutely wild. Did nobody tell nature that it's supposed to be spring and it's meant to be getting warmer? I'm a weird person. I like winter personally. I quite like the cold weather because the UK for 9 months of the year is a temperature at which you want to be wearing jackets and coats, right? And then there's a few months when it's warmer, so you can just wear a jacket or maybe just a t-shirt. And then there's a week where it's blazing hot, you can't sleep, you're melting, none of your clothing is adequately thin enough for the fact that it's like 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. Nuts. So the fact that we have our whole lives centered around cold weather, I don't mind winter because you just throw on a couple layers and you're Gucci. In the summer, you can only pull off so many layers until you're at the point where you're no longer being decent in public, and that's a problem. So, also I've constantly complained about how my car doesn't have functioning air conditioning. So every summer for the past 4 years, whenever I've had to drive my car in the summer, I've been absolutely melting. Sweat more in my car than I do at the gym. That's saying something, I believe. But for some reason, Mother Nature just said, no, we're continuing winter now. It was starting to get warmer, sort of, like I say, that 10 to 15 degree range that kind of you associate with spring. And then it took a nosedive, said it's going to be 0 degrees and snowing. Absolutely wild. Yesterday it was on, off. It would snow, it would then go really bright and sunny, and then it would suddenly go dark and snow again, and then about an hour later it would just rinse and repeat, and it was absolutely wild. And I'll be honest, I'm very glad that I was working from home that day, so I didn't have to worry about driving in the snow, or going out in the snow, or having to just be outside in the crazy weather that was happening. Today has been not as strange, but it did briefly decide to start hailing, and it is very, very cold. According to my phone, it's currently 6 degrees on the 1st of April. Yes, it is April Fool's, and I have been played a little bit by the internet, not gonna lie. Not too badly, but weird enough. I think the funny thing for me was I opened my phone and went to Discord, and because I play Smash Bros, I've got a few Smash chords, so character-specific Smash Bros Discords, and 3 of them had all changed for April Fools, and I was looking at them going, this is really confusing. One of them had changed to Slippy Toad from Star Fox because it was the Wolf Discord, so that's obviously a joke, you can tell that it's meant to be fake. But one of them, I don't even know what it was originally, made it look like it was a Diddy Kong Smash Discord, and I was sat there thinking, when did I sign up to a Diddy Kong Discord? I think that's either the Donkey Kong one, that would make the most sense, or it might be the Banjo and Kazooie one, so why they switched to Diddy Kong, I don't know. The Young Link one's quite interesting because they just flipped the text for the different channels, like a reference to the Stone Temple in Majora's Mask, which I thought was very clever. So yeah, absolutely weird, absolutely wild. It's funny because we had to turn the heating back up. We'd start turning it down because it had gotten warmer and the house was sustaining a comfortable living temperature, and then it decided to crash. So yeah, very weird, very bizarre, but you just got to work with it. Funny thing about my car, I haven't had my car for the last 2 weeks. It's been absolutely insane. So yeah, we'll just go through it. We'll go through it. The joys of owning a car. So the problem happened a couple of weeks back. It was very cold in the morning. Monday morning, I get up, do my whole routine to go to work. I come downstairs, try and get in my car and start it up, and it's turning on, but it's not starting, and that's just a simple fix. It means the battery hasn't got quite enough juice in it because I hadn't driven it much the week before, and we either need to jumpstart the car or just swap in the extra battery. fine. The problem lies when you try and then open the bonnet. I flicked the internal lever on the inside of the car that releases it, and then the idea is you go to the front and there's a little catch underneath the bonnet that allows you to then fully extend it. I could not find that catch, and the other problem is I couldn't push the bonnet back down, so it literally lifted maybe a couple centimeters to an inch, and you couldn't lift it all the way up and you couldn't push it all the way down. That's a problem. Asked my dad because he was about to go to work, but I was just like, Dad, what the hell do I do? I'm stuck. And he was like, yeah, I can't get it to start. We need to open the bonnet. And what he'd realized is the crash bar in the front of my car behind the bonnet had completely dented inwards. So it was supposed to be straight, but it looked more like a V. Which is very, very, very bad. One, it's now no longer safe to drive, because that's what's stopping you from crashing and exploding your engine. The other problem is it has a connection to the release mechanism for the bonnet, and that was now angled downwards, hence why we couldn't open the bonnet. So we couldn't start the car, couldn't open the bonnet, couldn't drive it, basically. At this point in time, it's 8 o'clock, or like just gone 8 o'clock. I'm supposed to be at work for 8:30. I'm having a minor meltdown thinking, how am I getting to work? How am I fixing my car? How am I getting my life back on track? My mum very kindly just offered to drive me to work, so I wasn't late. I was late maybe by like 5-10 minutes, which considering the time we left was very good. The alternative was I was gonna have to either get a taxi or the bus, so that was very nice. But yeah, that's now begun the long process of trying to fix my car, because it's not been easy. So by the time I got home on that Monday, my dad obviously had come home before me. He'd managed to somehow get the car open and get the bonnet up. He said he'd started it up and it was driving fine. So annoyingly, had it not been a cold morning, I probably would have just started the car and driven off and had no idea about this. He was like, yeah, we need a couple parts because that's completely busted in. You can't drive it and whatnot. Yeah. Not fun, and I had no backup plan as to how to get to work outside of using a taxi service, which is extremely expensive. It's okay on a one-off, but you can't do it regularly because it will bleed dry. So the next day, and every other subsequent day that I've been to work since this incident, I've been using the bus. Now, the buses are great because, to be honest, I can get 3 buses, walk a minimum amount of distance, and get to work. Literally, they can get me from my house to the front door of my workplace without having to walk very far. The problem is it takes 3 times the amount of time to get to work. It takes literally an hour compared to about 20 minutes if I drive straight there, which means I had to get up very, very, very early. Now, there's people probably thinking, mate, I get up at like 3 in the morning to go to work. I'm sat there like, earliest I've ever gotten up in my life was 7. That was a very regular occurrence when I was at school, is getting up at 7. But now I was having to get up at 6. I know, only an hour more, but when you go from having to get on a bus at 7 o'clock to waking up at 7 o'clock, it's a very different sort of scenario. It's very jarring, especially because I'd never done this before. I was mentally freaking out thinking, oh my god, I have to try and get to work correctly on time using a system I've never done before. But also I'm tired because it's 6 in the morning. I was panicking the night before trying to make sure I got enough sleep to get up at 6 in the morning, making sure I get the right buses and get the correct connections. Wild, honestly. Did it flawlessly, not gonna lie, and now I know exactly how it works. It's been fine every other time I've had to do it. And the saving grace is I only work 2 days in the office and the rest of the time I'm working from home, so I don't have to do it very often, which is the good thing. The problem is I was hoping the car would be fixed that that week or the week after, because we'd ordered the part and it had arrived, but kind of late, so we'd fitted that and everything was good. And then it turns out that we need another part for the car, so that meant waiting another week for that to arrive, and that part hasn't currently arrived because it's got lost in shipping somewhere, so now it's delayed again, and I'm just a lot of money. I assume I'm gonna have to ask my dad how much he's spent on all the parts and pay him back, because it is my car and I'm very thankful that he's been sorting it because I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing. And yeah, it's just been so annoyingly frustrating because you just kind of want what you had in the moment that you don't have it. Like, I haven't been to the gym for a few weeks because I can't drive, and I hate impacting other people, and I haven't been able to drive to work on my own. I've had to either bus or have someone very kindly drop me off. Yesterday was a really unfortunate scenario because I went to not yesterday, Wednesday. I went to GameStop, right? Which worked fine in the morning because I bussed into town and out of town to work, and then I worked the day on campus, so I just stayed on campus and went to GameStop. But then getting home is the other part. I'd have to have left at like 9 o'clock and then spent an hour getting buses home, but my parents were very kind and said, we'll come pick you up, so I could stay a bit longer, and then I also didn't have to worry about trying to get buses into that time. It was so cold Wednesday night, because that's when it was the on-off with the snow. It was ridiculous. Moral of the story, don't be an idiot, like I was, and also have a backup plan for what you want to do. The wild thing is, it would have been faster to cycle to work. In terms of speed of getting to work, it is car for 20 minutes, cycle for 30 minutes, or get a bus for an hour. How does that work? That's ridiculous. But the problem is, I don't have a bike, and also I've never cycled on public roads in a long distance, so that was not a viable option, sadly. Either way, hopefully my car should be fixed next week. Fingers crossed, assuming we can get the part that we need to finish completely getting everything back to a functional state and a safe state. Other than that, I've been desperately trying to look for a new car because in this whole scenario of not having a car, I've just been like, I just want a car so I can drive places. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? Right. It's a bit of a sad episode. Well, not sad episode, a bit of a, on the negative side because it's been a mess. But either way, I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you got something out of this, telling you to prepare yourself so you don't end up in a scenario like I did. Either way, stay safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!